Following the qualifiers, the first day of the finals ended safely. Gabil did his best. With indomitable spirit, he stood up over and over again, seeming like a wall that couldn't be passed. His figure left a deep impression, captivating the spectators. Oh well, Sokka secretly ignored Gabil's attempts to give up no matter how many times he tried. Oh Otto, what did you say? What? I can still do it. Don't underestimate me. Contestant Gabil, what motivation? Such an unyielding man. He still hasn't given up. Sokka. No matter how you look at it, he already gave up, but his luck ran out when Sokka became the announcer. After all, for a full hour, Ranga toyed with him, won. Since the spectators didn't know the circumstances, it seems that Gabil was remembered as an unyielding man. I can't decide whether that's a good or bad thing. However, I want to say that I'm glad it's not me. When the match ended, everyone returned to their respective inn. I got up from my seat and started to walk away to invite Masayuki for a meal. Please wait a bit. I have something I want to ask. Unknown. There was a person who called me to halt. It was the half-elf girl from before. With pale light blue silver hair and her jade eyes, she was a super bishajo, too. So you are here. Surprised, Rimuru Dono, it's been a long time. Elalude. Before I could reply to the girl, a person came and greeted me while panting. Did he come running? It was Duke Elalude. Duke, it's been a long time. Are you well? And, is she your acquaintance? Rimuru. She was a person the Duke was hurriedly looking for. Although I expected it, more or less, let's listen to his word. Allow me to introduce you. This is Her Majesty, the Empress of the Sorcery Dynasty of Sarian, Elmetia Ilyor Sarian. Her Majesty, this is the person I told you about before, Demon Lord Rimurudono. Elalude. Pretty much, she was the ruler of the country who supported me. After he introduced the Empress to me, he introduces me to her. I know. This one, 3, is the Empress of the Sorcery Dynasty of Sarian, Elmetia Ilyor Sarian. I hope we will get along well. Elmetia. Although she a bishajo, she emits a solemn aura. I think she might have suppressed it before, but the person before me is without a doubt someone worthy of being called an empress. Etielelo, I'm Rimuru, the king of Tempest. Please take care of me as well. Since I'm ignorant with the etiquette of king, please pardon my rudeness, Nalgu, Rimuru. I introduce myself as well. Oh dear, I sounded like an upstart outlaw, I do. I wish you would excuse me from such stiff formalities. How should I put it? Since the Empress came dressed as an adventurer, I want to think something like that should be fine. It's not a problem. Such things aren't important. What is with this country's outrageous war potential? That's the real issue. Elmetia. She pressed me for answers while forcefully barraging me questions. Beside her, Duke Elalude was greatly perplexed. We changed locations, and we were now talking while eating dinner. I wanted to eat with Masayuki, but I gave priority to the Empress of Sarian this time. Though it was regrettable, it couldn't be helped. According to the Empress, although she was a master in magic, she was defeated by a strong devil and couldn't do a single thing about it. That devil was Dagura. Furthermore, he instantly defeated countless opponents by himself. He was a surprisingly outrageous opponent. Despite this, that devil was easily, 6, defeated by a single Tempest executive. She couldn't accept this and became indignant. By the way, the Empress in here is a homunculus, 7, that she transferred her consciousness into. So, there is no need to worry about her getting hurt, although she was frustrated about her loss. WELLUC, because Her Majesty was never lost before. When it comes to magic, she's the best. Therefore, Her Majesty, what I can say. Since it was a demon lord, it won't turn out as a half-assed tournament. Elalude. Duke Elalude suits her as if he's given up on it. She acted recklessly because there was no danger to the real body. Thanks to that, I think Her Majesty's selfishness was great. That night, I enjoyed conversing with Sarian's Empress and successfully struck an agreement about future technology. Although it was just a verbal promise, it was a promise between fellow rulers. I don't think it will be broken. After successfully making a promise with the sorcery dynasty of Sarian, I can say that the tournament was already successful. I'm pleased with the progress, and I'm convinced that the relationship between our countries will become even better in the future. And then, the night grew old, as the morning of the second day of finals arrived. The second day of the finals. The fifth match. Anoyd versus Beretta. A noteworthy match. Although Anoyd said that he would conceal his status as a holy knight and registered as Mask Knight. He doesn't depend on others, right? The one who is called the strongest of holy knights that vows to protect people, how could he do something like run away? 8. If he is a man, it must be a fight fair and square. Isn't that right, Anoyd-san? Demon announcer. Sokka seems to have asked again while smiling sweetly. She ended her words with fool. Eche, of course. A holy knight wouldn't run away from any fight. Trapped knight. Maybe because he was desperate, he was muttering, it will be alright if I win. It seems he decided to continue without concealing his true identity. He's just like a young rabbit that has been ensnared in a trap. No, I think that conversation about escaping wasn't needed, right? Well, whatever. A wicked smile seems to have appeared on Sokka's face. Or rather, when she was still Abel's imperial guard, she looked like an obedient and good child, but she changed suddenly after she revealed the fact that she was a woman. Was this her original personality? Or did she receive a wicked influence from someone, probably Soi? Or, it might be both. She has grown into a frightening little demon. It's too late now. I must be careful so I don't end up ensnared in a trap as well. Bzan. Sokka. While I was thinking about the pitiful Anoyd, the match began before I realized. Anoyd was taking a distance from Beretta, vigilantly holding his sword. As expected, it seems he won't attack carelessly. It started right. The day to show off Beretta's strength has come, right? Annoying fairy. I was surprised. Suddenly Ramirez came and spoke near my ear. Veldora and Milim also came along from behind. Why are you guys? Weren't you all engrossed inside the dungeon? Rimuru. Fuhhh, Rimuru. It was completed a while ago. You looking forward to it? Milim. SANCE, I also have an interest in the tournament. Yesterday, I performed probability manipulation of Investigation King Faust, 9. In yesterday matches, weren't the matches concentrated with ones that had clear results? Otku Dragon. WHTDADVA or USVI. That explains why for some reason people with similarly problematic powers were fighting each other. And, did he manipulate it so that the combination he didn't have interest in would be concentrated in yesterday's match? Certainly, there are a lot of highlights, 10, in today's match. The combination LAKERNAUD versus Beretta RAZHT now AND11 Mask versus DIABLO were matches that Ramirez and Milim did not want to miss. For something that he considered uninteresting, he still accurately manipulated it. Let's overlook it for the sake of such interesting events like this one. He will never say such generous words, huh? As expected of him. Well, I don't have an interest in the outcome, but it will serve as a good reference. Kohahaha. Veldora. Veldora began proudly laughing. Unlike the old him, he seems to have become interested in the matters of strengths and weaknesses. It must be the influence of manga. Now, he seems to be researching a beautiful way to win. What a hardworking fellow. Oh well, since he is such a strong person, I didn't think that he would let his imagination run wild for such useless things. While I was surprised by the entry of Ramirez and co., the match showed a new development. Arnold's sword attacks were easily repelled by Beretta's arm, although it continued for some time. OTTO, contestant Arnold's attacks cannot pass at all. Is he going easy on his opponent? But if these are serious attacks, then is he unworthy to be called the strongest Holy Knight? Sokka. That brief comment was a sharp wound. But those words couldn't disturb Arnold's mind yet. Every attack so far was for the sake of a plan. Look below its feet, everyone. Arnold. Trying to look good, Arnold pointed below Beretta's feet. There, a magic formation was drawn without anyone having become aware. At the intervals between the sword attacks, without being noticed, he had been drawing the formation by scattering silver dust. He was a skillful man. However, to be able to fight with this method, it seems he wasn't a simple muscle brain. SETAVATE. Holy FILDWEK version. Arnold. So Arnold shouted after he throws the shuriken, 11, with barrier tag, 12, attached to them in 4 directions. Crystals were embedded in the handle of the shuriken. Apparently, they were charged with magic power, so it seems to enable the invocation of the barrier in a short time span. Although he said it was weak version, to able set up holy field by himself. It seems that Arnold is a man who cannot be underestimated. However, the equipment was made by Kurobe for Arnold to test, 13, so frankly it can be said that Kurobe was his contributor. It seems that after doing various experiments with Arnold, the two got along well with each other. Thanks to that, the quality of weapons from Tempest seems to have increased as well. It's really a great thing. Normally, although it is just a weak version of the holy field, most people would succumb to it when confined inside. It might be that only some of the executives would be able to cancel such a barrier. Is there even a method to completely capture Benimaru and Soi? Because the ability compatibility was only to this extent, I was unable to judge its strength and weakness. And, in the current situation, the compatibility was very bad. And for Arnold, ITS useless. Because of the ability given to me by Rimurusuma, I don't suffer the effects of Holy Field. Beretta. Beretta moves to counterattack against Arnold for the first time while informing him indifferently. It can be understood that Arnold's sword attacks were not effective because Beretta has physical attack nullification. Also, its body was created using magic steel. Beretta's fist was clad in helical mix of Yoki and Aura, Padnalugu, emitted from the unique SKLLSANTDEMO infusion, Padihenu, then it fired that bizarre energy. The disposition was similar to ENER GY combat arts, Padaharu, AURA blade, but the power had increased tremendously. It's also possible to shoot it at high speed. Though it seems not to have been concentrated to the level of penetration like Benimaru's, the constant Tuki that clad its whole body was still beautiful without any blemish. The level was different from the irregular Tuki that Dagura emits. The power was not just simple Yoki and aura, one blow from that fist could be considered a finishing move. 17. Beretta, who shifted over to offensive, let out an attack with fearsome precision. The spectators seemed to see the match as a great one, but my eyes couldn't be deceived. Beretta hadn't shown its true power. It only fought with 30% of its power. Fu. How's Red? How's about Red? My Beretta, seriously cool. Ramirez flew around my surroundings, boosting with a self-satisfied look. Not enough to only show it to me, she was also boosting to Veldora and Milim. Veldora only replied, "Etumph, even so I am stronger, but. Fun, Paddanimidi, it's okay for you to be excited now. Tomorrow my lion mask will dismantle your Beretta, I'm sure of it." Milim. Not wanting to lose, Milim answered back to Ramirez. "Geez, is this a children's squabble? Furthermore, don't you think we should have worried about the pitiful announcer?" The brutal announcer herded him into a situation where he couldn't surrender, so his situation was hopeless. Or rather, won't Annoyed's spirit, 19, be broken by this? Just with this, my own assessment of him considerably increased. When the fight between Ramirez and Milim ended, the match had also ended. Of course, it was a victory for Beretta. Annoyed used a special move he calls Meteor Slash, 20, or something like that, but the sword broke and crumbled when came in contact with Beretta's body. Oh well, it was natural that the sword lost its durability after striking the hunk of steel that is Beretta's body continuously. The weapon will accumulate damage little by little even if the weapon is clad with Tuki. Even though his sword was broken, the match continued. But Annoyed conceded defeat, and so the match ended. His sword being broken was just an excuse. In reality, he wasn't able to land a single hit on Beretta. However, since the spectators didn't know about it, the skillful announcer followed up Annoyed. "Unfortunately, because his sword has broken, he must reluctantly surrender from the match." With such an explanation, the spectators understood. "Sokka, I will treat you to a meal." So I thought with teary eyes. Somehow she gave a skillful commentary. However, I pretended not to know about it. Annoyed's honor was protected. That is good. Thus, the fifth match ended with Beretta's victory. It's the main act. Milim was extremely excited. She was encouraging, threatening, the lion mask. I heard her say, "Though you understand what will happen if you lose," but whatever could she mean? Perhaps it's better not to know. And with the signal audible to all, the match began. They stood in the middle, observing each other. The two devils before us were displaying an overpowering presence. And the fact that they did not release even a hint of their aura made the situation all the more bizarre. Karyo never doubted his position as a being of strength. Until he was defeated by Milim, that is. But as a result of his loss, he learned that a league beyond his own existed. Thus, today he was observing his opponent with the composed gaze of a true warrior, not the prideful gaze of the strong. This guy is insanely dangerous. WHA, the hell? What's a devil on par with a demon lord doing here? Normally, Karyo wouldn't care about his opponent's strength, rushing in with a smile on his face, ready to accept defeat. However, even though he has delegated his royal responsibilities to Milim, he lived as Milim's shield. Lose a battle, win the war is not an excuse he could rely on. So, training with these thoughts in mind caused him to increase his powers beyond what he had as a demon lord. After all, he has been used as daily stress relief for Milim during what she called sparring sessions. Of course he'd get stronger from that. Let your guard down and you'll end up in a different world. Survival required him to strengthen his own body. Thus, he became much more cautious and stronger. And yet, even the experienced eyes of Karyo could not see the depths of his opponent's strength. Hey, Lion Mask. You do understand, right? Your job is to trash that doll, Beretta, in an upcoming match. I will not allow failure here. As my underling, get fired up. Yet for some reason, he felt no encouragement from her words. Large drops of sweat fell from Karyo's forehead. What will happen if he loses? There is no need to guess. A hell of a training will await him. So far, he has endured easy mode and normal mode training, but has yet to unlock hard mode. And according to the rumors, there is also the ultimate course hell mode which cannot be reached by an average person. If he loses, he will certainly be thrown into it. So even against such a dangerous opponent, there is no choice but to get fired up. Kufufufu. You don't look too well. However, I cannot hold back. Since I have joined the battle for the sake of my rank, I must be a little serious this time. TCH, looks like the opponent isn't holding back, Karyo thought. I, too, cannot lose. My bad, but I will be going all out from the start. He replied. And immediately afterwards. Begin. Editor note, this must be the signal that Rimuru noted previously. So no, this chapter does describe the start of the match twice. Sokka's command reached their ears. And as if tearing the air around them, a battle cry reverberated through the arena. It was Karyo who roared. Covered in white silver bristles, he revealed his magic beast form. He was not aiming for victory while preserving his strength, rather, he sought to win quickly by using all of his strength. Denting the arena floor itself, he released his fighting spirit along with the Byakuseryugeki. A large crack ran through one of the stone slabs on the floor. The depth of the crack testifying to his step's power. I got him. He thought, and confidently slashed the Byakuseryugeki at Diablo's neck. He had just covered 10 meters in an instant to land a fatal blow, while wielding the Byakuseryugeki, a legendary item that could cut through any and all barriers. Half-baked defensive barriers will not be able to withstand its mighty blade. Karyo's confidence came from the fact that no being could evade the coming blow. It was a shocking strike that would bring him decisive victory before his enemy could gauge his strength. So thought Karyo. Beast strike. The spear's tip split into two, preventing Diablo's escape. The fangs of the Byakko and the jaws of the Seiryu. These two slashes embodied the true strength of the Byakuseryugeki. One destroys all the barriers of an escaping foe while the other decapitates them in a single strike. A perfect maneuver. And perfect timing. Thus proclaiming his confidence, a fearless smile appeared on Karyo's face. And at that moment, Diablo's figure vanished. Teleportation? Karyo was startled for a moment, but then regained his calm and used magic perception to observe his surrounding. High-ranked devils are those who mastered transfer magic. Pulling it off instantly and without a chant was unexpected, but nothing that can't be dealt with. In the space-time category of abilities, transfer consumed the most magical energy. Creating a gate and stabilizing space is the safest, and consumes the least magical energy to move. However, what Diablo did just now, transferring without the use of a gate, even when moving by himself, was 10 times as costly. And to teleport without the use of a chant, only a handful of high-ranked devils could do that. This isn't an ability usable by just anyone. And the teleportation ability just now, it's an advanced ability above spatial transfer. Spatial transfer may look instantaneous to the average person, but in the eyes of a master there is a slight time lag. However, teleportation happens literally in an instant, time lag doesn't occur. It is the pinnacle of the transfer type abilities. This isn't an ability that could be used in rapid succession. As a counter-measurement against it, one should go on the defensive and wait for the opponent to exhaust himself. The opponent would weaken faster than yourself. So there is no need to hurry. In fact, since Diablo did not escape using spatial transfer, that means they could not have avoided it otherwise. TCH, lucky guy. If I didn't use my Shockle strike right from the start, he would have wasted magical energy pointlessly. Karyo thought, carefully maintaining his attack stance. He repeatedly attacked in order to bait his opponent to consume his strength. And, every time he would get away in an instant. He patiently waited for a chance. Diablo continuously transferred around, making a fool out of Karyo. But, what an awesome amount of magical energy. How long can he keep transferring? Though he had teleported only once, at the start, he had not transferred himself a countless number of times. To continuously transfer without chanting, this is impossible even for an archdemon. He knew the demon before him was an abnormal existence, however it surpassed his wildest expectations. But Karyo did not get impatient. That's because among monsters, there is his own shockingly unreasonable master, Mirim, whom he always keeps company. So he stuck to basics and observed, paying attention to his opponent's reactions. Constantly looking for a chance. Karyo's actions were reasonable and, in fact, correct. If his opponent wasn't Diablo, that is, Kufufufu. Analysis complete. I have obtained data about your physical prowess. I will proceed to verify. Since it's a little dangerous, please be careful. Diablo, who had been transferring around until now, suddenly said. And cold sweat ran down Karyo's back. His instincts screamed danger. A myriad fireballs floated around Diablo, radiating monstrous heat, hiding powers Karyo could not perceive. Karyo was resistant to fire and frost, but there is a limit to resistance. Karyo released his battle spirit in all directions, creating a barrier to prevent the fireballs from hitting. The impact was so strong that Karyo almost lost consciousness as the barrier was crushed. However, he had successfully defended against all the fireballs. And although an intense heat followed, the barrier weakened it to levels that Karyo's resistance could endure. It's my turn, eat this. Beast roar. While arranging his barrier, Karyo converted his magical energy into raw destructive force. An attack aiming for the moment when the opponent was exhausted right after deploying an attack, this was Karyo's strongest Shockle magic particle cannon. This time for sure, the finishing blow. As if responding to Karyo's dose, the dread magic particles emitted by the golden light burned the surrounding air. At this point, he wasn't holding back at all. All of his power was behind this attack. Kufu, kufufufufu. Wonderful. This shows the brightness of your soul. However, you have used this attack a little too late. What a shame. Diablo's voice reached Karyo's ears. And, as if the world had stopped, as if time itself refused to continue, the light stopped right in front of its target. That is, right in front of Diablo. Impossible. Karyo thought, and quickly moved to create some distance. And then, he felt as if his mind and body were separated. Even if he tried to turn around, he felt his body fixed in place. He could see himself firing his Shockle beast roar. What is happening? Karyo asked, impatiently. And, happily in response, Diablo said, Kufufufu. This is my ability, paradise time. In this world, the time has stopped, and only the two of us are conscious. Originally, I had planned to make you into my pawn, but your will was too strong. I might not be able to tempt you. Be proud of the fact. However, your spirit is weak against intrusion. Evidence that your mentality is poorly trained. So rejoice. You can still grow stronger. My lord, Rimurusma and his ally Milim are like sworn siblings, so consider this a service. Learn from this mistake and devote yourself wholeheartedly to improvement. Karyo could not understand the explanation, but he realized his defeat. Directing his consciousness into this world, he again looked at Diablo. And once again realized the overwhelming difference between them. The fact that he could materialize this world itself was something he could never understand. Before such overwhelming information, there is nothing Karyo could have done. In this world, he could not even move magic power. Damn it! I will win next time. He yelled solely with his last bit of strength. And Diablo's voice responded. World's end. As he had said, the world itself began to collapse, with Karyo's consciousness getting caught up and disintegrated. Had Diablo not rescued him in the end, he would have perished in the real world as well. And also, the beast's raw destructive power too was caught up in that world's collapse. So it will probably vanish in the real world. Such is Diablo's ability. The ability to control the life and death of the opponent based on their mental strength. The ability of his unique skill Seducer is absolute when activated within the world of illusions. And, inversion of truth and fallacy, the ability to interchange reality and illusions. The embodiment of illusions became reality in the material world. Only by training your spirit could you overcome this ability. The world regained movement, Karyo's beast roar was nullified in the illusion world, and no damage was dealt to Diablo. All mental damage was converted into physical damage, leaving Karyo wounded all over. I have lost. Kufufufufu. Wise decision. If this continued, I would have no choice but to kill you. Karyo's defeat marked the end of the 6th round. Kufufufu. In the future, don't forget to train your spirit. Mind your own business. I would do it even without you telling me to. Karyo glanced at the VIP room among the audience venue. The figure of his master glaring at him while grinding her teeth came into his line of vision. As expected, she's completely enraged. Karyo wanted to cry, but because he was wearing the lion's mask it wasn't noticed. Let alone his mind and spirit, what awaited him would bring him to death's doorstep many times, no doubt about it. Thinking about that, Karyo felt gloomy, and wanted to redo his matches. Lion Mask, Karyo was defeated. No, I felt had he tried very hard. His last attack was particularly good. If it wasn't for Wisdom King Raphael's explanations, I wouldn't have understood what happened either. Sokka was able to convince the audience that Diablo used some trick. She's particularly apt at swindling people, it seems. However, that was a good fight. To the audience, it seems like Lion Mask was overwhelming for the most part. Those of us who understood saw Diablo using an extraordinary ability that lacked any common sense. Few, if any, truly understood what he had done. Other than us, of course. This is bullshit. That demon actually defeated Karyo and won. It seems there wasn't much difference in ability, but that unique skill isn't normal. Miriam stated her thoughts with vexation. She was now being thoroughly ridiculed by Ramirez, and was even drop-kicked with a serves you right. In other words, my Beretta is superior. That one line enraged Miriam, and as punishment, Ramirez was pitifully trussed up like a bagworm on the floor. That string seemed like materialized energy. Ramirez probably wouldn't be able to break free. Well, you reap what you sow. It is true that Barreta did better. But Ramirez went overboard. The person she's making fun of is too evil. And so, seeking to avoid collateral damage, Veldora and I did not participate. Currently, the most pitiful one is probably Lionsan, Carrillo, who just did his best. Well, you'll now be trained, and I hope I see you alive in the future. The 7th match. Hakuro vs Damrada. This one I'm interested in. As expected of Vildora's tampering. I really can't see the outcome for most of today's matches. I predict that Hakuro will win, but will it really end up that way? And thus it began. FOMO. With a sigh, Damrada began a light warm-up. It's been a long time since he last had a fight in which he had to go all out. Advancing to the middle of the arena, he stood facing Hakuro. Without rushing, composed. A man who cared for naught but money, Damrada. So the association spoke of him. In reality, he thought that it was natural for others to think that he cared only for money. He was the kind of person who would not hesitate to make money. He was fine with fraud and betrayal as means. After all, the one who was deceived was at fault, only someone who's suicidal would act without guarantee. For Damrada, those whom he would betray were mere disposable pawns, a lesser life form he cared little for. Beings who are completely worthless are those who cannot even predict that they will be betrayed. So he never cared what kind of fate awaited those whom he had betrayed. Hence the reason people said that Damrada always brought back dead man's loot. But there is a reason that Damrada is so fixated with money. Expanding an organization costs a lot of money. You have to root yourself in various places in various countries, all of which costs money. Which is why Damrada used various means to earn money. All for their great master, the true lord of the Cerberus, Kagurachka Yuki. The world above would be dominated by the Freedom Association. The underground would be taken over by Damrada's group, Cerberus, thus establishing complete dominion. They are also successfully corrupting the Eastern Empire, with strength and Lady Cerberus bosses deployed there. They have been supplying weapons and have thus earned their trust. And at an opportune time, Damrada would be switched with the lady. Gaining dominance over humanity was but a matter of time, and they had long worked to incite the Western Saints' Church to eliminate the monsters. Only Holy Empire Ruberian, for some unbeknownst reason, forbid intervention. However, surely that was within their great master's expectations. All Damrada had to do was to follow. This time, he had received strange orders. Though perhaps what is strange is this country before him. Damrada was ordered to obtain Demon Lord Rimuru's trust and be recognized as a trading partner. He was told about this Demon Lord's preference, and the plan was proceeding smoothly with Damrada successfully infiltrating. Of course, the necessary information to get to this point was all manipulated by Kagurachka Yuki. Even as he admired his master's ability, he was also confident in appearing as a merchant. After all, this country stank of money from the moment he entered it. So it doesn't matter what he would be trading in, there was money to be made here. For Damrada, this was job that was far more interesting than trading with the Eastern Empire, so he could not afford to fail. Therefore, maybe going all out would be fun. So, he took a natural stance. And thus the match began. In the center, glaring at each other stood Hakuro and Damrada. Both exhibited auras of masters, but Hakuro is a sword saint. I think that, being unarmed, Damrada would be at a disadvantage, but I guess we will see. The moment the match began, Damrada instantly closed distance. He started not a single moment too soon, but was moving at a speed that even a seasoned veteran would have hard time dodging. Only because my thoughts are accelerated could I see it. Hakuro, however, casually stepped back and swung down his sword. When did he draw it? For a second there, I thought that his sword had cut off Damrada's legs, but... Kin. A high-pitched sound rang out, and Damrada's feet had repelled Hakuro's blade. Though I thought Damrada merely preferred baggy clothing, it seems he is wearing armor underneath. So he isn't a fool who would fight him barehanded. Well, yeah, I get it. Each of Damrada's kicks generate a vacuum blade aiming at Hakuro, who, of course, intercepts it calmly. Returning his sword to the sheath, he began a series of special attacks using Blink Step. Using BLNK STEP, Hakuro can move 5 meters in any direction in an instant and quickly dispose of his enemy. Truly a divine skill, Mist Blade, Kasumikiri. However, although he shouldn't be able to see it, Damrada has been receiving Hakuro's blade without fail. Although every strike should have easily been able to cut off his arm, Damrada remains without wound. He probably has armored his hands as well. But to be able to block Hakuro's blade, truly wonderful gear he has. Surely it is at least on par with the Templar's spirit armor. Currently, we are introducing the spirit armor to our market. It seems to be a relic of an ancient civilization that takes a lot of magic energy to make, but tends to surpass the performance of modern pieces. If you threw all of them in classes, you'd have God class, legend, unique, rare, special, and normal. Spirit armor, even that sold in the common marketplace, would be of at least unique quality. Hinta's spirit armor is of legendary class. But if hers was legendary, would a god class truly exist? Apparently, Veldora had seen it before. For example, the hero who sealed Veldora was Dane in 1. Seriously? I thought, but considering that Veldora said so, I have no reason to doubt him. According to him, when a considerable amount of energy accumulates in an armor, it can evolve. Now that I think about it, wasn't Kiryo's equipment also legendary class? Kurobi seemed very interested in it. At the moment, Kurobi can mostly make unique equipment. But if we use the best material, I guess we really could reach legendary class. When this event is over, I will have him finally finish my blade, katana. I mean, the demon steel has probably been soaking up my energy for a long enough time. But that aside, Hakuro's blade is one of Kurobi's earlier works and is of rare quality. But, in the hands of a sword saint, equipment rank doesn't matter all that much. Though had it been unique, it probably would cut through the armor. So to repel all of those hits, Damrada's Tuki must either invalidate physical attacks or he has darn good equipment. Or both. Well, I guess I should just appraise it to find out. Result, I could only discern that the black clothing he is wearing is unique class. To interfere with appraisal skill, his equipment is truly great. But, what a shame. I have a reliable buddy named Raphael, Solution. Individual, Damrada has an unnaturally high Tuki. Additionally, I have identified at least 17 pieces of equipment. Each of unique class, is what he said. What a rich guy this Damrada is. To have enough money to purchase better equipment than the Templars. What a terrifying guy. The thing about spirit armor is that lives as a single piece. It disperses and repairs using one's magical energy. So it's possible to instantly change the equipment used. Amazing, right? The power of money. This got me thinking, and when I look at Kurobi, he looks like he has something to say. We nod at each other. We have our next goal in mind. Lots of armor and weapon plans to draw. And even if we fail, we still go the dungeon money-making machine. Oh, this has gotten fun. Well, I have gone on a tangent. Doesn't matter, it does for me. I guess it's rude to Hakuro and Kurobi. Quality of equipment aside, the fact that Hakuro has been pressed this far just proves how much of a master Damrada is. Perhaps a set of invisible nail blades adorned Damrada's hands or something, because a set of vacuum blades suddenly assaulted Hakuro. And it's certainly difficult to dodge what you can't see. But Hakuro lightly sidestepped what would have been a fatal wound. As expected, Hakuro sent a dimensional decapitation attack at Damrada, who blocked it by distorting space. Here, the climax of the battle. If Hakuro is a sword saint, then Damrada is a fist saint. Frankly, both are way stronger than the Templars. Even compared with Damrada, Damrada is stronger. And that has nothing to do with equipment, their skill is in a different dimension. There is no point to use equipment you can't fully utilize, Damrada fully utilizes his. That means that Damrada is not just some upstart loan shark. Speaking of that, I can't believe a human could fight this well. And they have already exceeded the allotted 30 minutes. Frankly, none of us had fought Hakuro for 30 minutes in an all-out battle. Considering that Hakuro has a unique SKLLMRTALRTIST, Damrada must also possess some kind of unique skill. But since he doesn't show it, I can't analyze it. Could it be an internal skill? It would be strange for him to have been fighting on pure skill alone. Or could it be an effect of his unique equipment? It's a shame I'm not fighting him, can't gather as much information this way. But, even if Damrada is a true master, humanity has its limit. Even if he had been supported with some item, this long of a battle surely has taken its toll. It's amazing he could hold his own against Hakuro for 30 minutes straight. In the end, Damrada let his guard down for a moment, and Hakuro had already pressed his sword against his neck. Truly a wonderful battle. Veldora was so impressed he stood nodding. Seems like he has gotten interested in humanity's martial arts. He would pester me about it later, but that's a story for another day. Thus, the 7th match ended in Hakuro's victory. But I was able to see Damrada go all out. I guess I will recognize him as a trading partner. Well, I am not the kind of fool who would trust someone from the underworld, but I will use him. He has fought well, and I did not limit the offer to only if he had won. But, trading? What should I have him do? What can I trade with him? I will have to think about that. While I was thinking this, the next match was about to start. The 8th match, Shun vs Gerudo. Now then, the last match of the day. Shun and Gerudo. Gerudo, a down-to-earth individual, is normally the head of the engineering corps, but is also the center of our defenses. Well, Tempest doesn't really have set roles for people, so work gets done by whoever is free. That too is something I plan to change based upon this event's results. But, for the time being, I wonder who is stronger, Shun or Gerudo. Gerudo's is a stable skill of a guardian. Shun's, on the other hand, is unstable, swayed by her emotions. So is my earlier evaluation of her. Shun who would rampage if circumstances so dictated. But here, begin. On Sokka's command, Shun calmly drew her udachi and took a center stance aiming at his eyes. Her face was calm, her emotions tranquil. In fact, she released an imposing aura quite reminiscent of that of Hakuro. A beautiful stance as if she had become one with the blade itself. Beholding her figure, Gerudo armed himself with the Castle Crusher hammer in his right hand and the humongous castle shield in his left. Befitting his position as the center of our defense, his entire body is clad in Hebiyama armor, and with his unique SKLLGVRDANIT would prove difficult to as much as scratch him. Shun altered her raised her blade above her, as so to swing it down with ungodly speed. As if possessed by Hakuro himself, her movements are fluid without a single wasted moment. WHA. Seriously? I think, staring at her. And not just me, Benimaru and Soi, too, stare at her with wonder on their faces. That Shun, although her speech and conduct is still rather haphazard and she is prone to radical decisions, she has become rather sensible lately. Right, after she had made peace with the Templars. I thought I felt as if a weight was lifted from her, but perhaps she really did experience some kind of change as a result. She is no longer as arrogant nor looks down on humans. Actually, even when she says something foolish, rather than coming from her heart, it's as if she was kidding. Just like Benimaru, she no longer rampages and has attained the state of tranquility. Shun has grown, perhaps she just become more accepting. The current Shun does not depend on fighting with raw power alone, but as Hakuro had taught, she displays the beautiful devotion to swordsmanship. In other words, actual skill has been added to her capricious nature. As a result, Shun brought down her Odachi, sending a shockwave at Gerudo. Of course, something of this level created no more than a smokescreen. But Shun did not waste that opportunity and fluidly slashed again. Gerudo stopped her slash with his shield, but the great Odachi, with the awesome power behind it, shattered it. No way. Benimaru muttered. Of course, I completely understand. Even Soi appeared surprised. There is nothing trivial about this, Shun's proficiency has gone way up. The current attack carried a COKS effect. The effect was to CHNGETHE slash has been stopped by the SHIELDANTOTHE shield could not stop the slash, allowing to cut through it like BUTTR. However, GRUDOSGURDINSKLL interfered. Even though it interfered, the shield still shattered. In other words, her mind surpassed his. Meaning this was her victory. In the end, as I had predicted, 30 minutes of fierce fighting resulted in Shun's victory. Gerudo did struggle with all his might, showing us his resolve, but not once did he touch Shun. His equipment destroyed, Gerudo pronounced his defeat, ending the match. Shun's growth is truly stunning. I was sure this would be a close fight, but Shun had completely dominated in the 8th round. Considering how amazing her growth was in this short while, I guess I should praise her for it. Thus, the second day has come to an end, and 8 names remain. The third day. Round 9, Benimaru vs Soi. Round 10, Gobota vs Ranga. Round 11, Beretta vs Diablo. Round 12, Hakuro vs Shun. Is what it comes down to. And at this point, I can't really predict the ending. They are all evenly matched, all are wonderful in their own way. So how will this end? Would we have an unexpected winner, Gobota? I can't wait to see how it all ends. If you like the video, please subscribe the video and press bell icon for more updates. Thank you for watching the video.